Okay, welcome, welcome. Week, this is the orientation webinar for the online statistics class. And just let you know, all webinars will be recorded and they will be put on YouTube. So this is always public and easy to find, easy to grab. If you can't find it or you can't get on Canvas or something, you can always go on YouTube and grab it there. And today, this is not a webinar on learning statistics. This is the orientation webinar. Tomorrow, actually, at 1 o'clock p.m., that's going to be the first webinar where we actually, talk about statistics and learn the content. This, on the other hand, is all about what to expect in the class. All the things that you need to do, all the channels that are open for you to get help with, and kind of suggestions on how to succeed in the class and what you can expect throughout the entire course. So that is a plan. I will let you know the kind of the main reason that I do these live webinars is so that you can ask questions and I can answer immediately. We can have conversations. Again, if you don't feel comfortable having your question recorded, then what you can do is you can put the question in the chat box. That will not be recorded. I'll answer the question, but I won't ever say your name after you put something in the chat box. If you don't care, you're always welcome to unmute yourself and ask the question. That will be recorded, but people don't really care. So just a note, that's kind of how these webinars are going to work. And the idea is that there's a lot of learning done during these webinars. So I strongly recommend coming to them. It's up to you whether you want to make, if you want to have your personal profile on it or not. But if, it's a good idea to come to them. And I'll talk about the requirements of the webinars themselves. Okay, so again, welcome again. This is the online elementary statistics class. Just let you know, we have two sections of this class, and they're both completely full now. They weren't 20 minutes ago, but they are now. So in fact, the second section, we had so many students that enrolled in the online stats class that I was able to talk to my dean. She was able to get another section. And that section was less than a week ago. It got added and it's already full. So it really does fill up. And the idea is that hopefully you'll learn a lot of statistics because that's the key. There's going to be 60 total students in the class. And it's, important that you work together if you can. And there'll be some places where you need to work together. Some places you can work on your own. So again, we call this Math 201. It's an online class, and I want to let you know this truly is an online class. I have had, at one quarter, I actually had 5 different countries at which students were living in, represented in my class. You do not ever have to come to the college, but you do, an absolute requirement is that you have online access. So if you are looking at like a couple weeks where you're not going to be able to get online, this class won't work for you. This is an online class. So you're going to be online several times a week. Pretty everything we do is online. That's going to be via Canvas, via these webinars. I'll be emailing you. So make sure you watch your college or LTCC email, because when I message everybody, it gets sent to the LTCC email. And if for some reason you don't look at your LTCC email often, I strongly recommend, one is you can go to Canvas and you can set the settings to directly put it into whatever it is you want to get it put into, whether it's text or some personal email, but you need to make sure that you get the communication that happens in this class via the online environment. The class, this is elementary statistics and probability. It's a very standard class taught in pretty much every college in the whole country and maybe the world. So it's a very standard class. It is officially a math class, but it's going to be very different than other math classes you've had. There's very little algebra. There's numbers. We're going to do a lot of numbers. But there's a lot of understanding how to interpret the numbers. That's really what this class is all about, and how to use the statistics, which are numbers, to make decisions. And the thing I love about this class is it is so easy to find an application to whatever we happen to be doing. And I'll be doing a lot of that during the webinars, because the webinars are live. So, those are modern, and I can grab whatever's in the news today and use it. Use statistics for whatever we're going to be looking at. That's one of the cool things. It's a 5-unit class. I want to let you know that what's called the Carnegie Unit System, it's I don't know, it's a national thing. And that says that for every unit, you should expect 3 hours of work. And that's the Carnegie Unit System. So this is not one of these classes where you're going to finish in a half an hour every week and that's it. Make sure that you put in the time. If you don't put in the time, it won't go well for you. So make sure that you have the time in your schedule, and not the very last minute, but throughout the week to get things done. 15 hours sounds like a lot, but that's just like a little more than 2 hours a day. So it's not like you're going to be working all day long every day if you work each day. Okay. Or 3 hours for a 5-day work week. Look at it that way. So again, it's a 5-unit class, and it does take a lot of work. For some people it takes more than others, but I don't know who you are, so I have no idea. But I will tell you, it does take a lot of work, and that's a standard thing I hear from students at the end, is that this really took a lot of work, this class. So make sure you have the time. I am your instructor. My name is Larry Green, and I've been teaching forever. Seems like it. So this is actually my 28th year teaching at Lake Tahoe Community College. So I've been teaching. No one actually has ever taught longer than I have at this college. So this is, so I've been here for a very long time. I've taught statistics pretty much every year of that entire time. And I have been teaching online for most of it. In fact, I was the first faculty member in California of all of the 115 colleges in California to get approved for my online statistics class. So I've been doing this forever. And the good news is, because of that, I'm used to it. I built a lot of stuff for you guys, and I keep building and building and building so that you have more materials. So there are a lot of materials out there for you to use. But again, without the time, you won't be able to use it. It takes time to learn. So anyway, that's my main thing. And I live less than a mile from the college, so I've been in Lake Tahoe forever too, for a very long time, and I love it here. But I am here to help you out, and I've used statistics in many ways, not just for teaching, but I also I've had some consulting jobs where people have called me, lots of people, the Forest Service, lawyers, all kinds of groups have asked me to help them in their statistics to do what they needed to do. So not only do I teach, I've also used statistics in lots of ways, especially our local environment. Okay, but also to make money in the stock market. So we'll talk about that too a little bit. I tend to use my college email, but I tend to use my personal email, but my college email works too. So that's the standard email address that I use. But if you message me through Canvas, that goes to my college email, that goes to my personal email, and I'll see it. So that's a really good way of doing it. I will let you know that I'm on my email a lot. I'm on my email a lot. And in fact, I'm a full-time faculty member at this college. And right now I have 17 teaching units. 12 of the 17 units are online. So I am checking my email pretty often. Okay, several times a day, just about every day. So I will get back to you, and I'll talk about when you want to email me versus when you want to use Canvas for Q&A and stuff. I'll also let you know, give you a heads up, something about spring quarter, especially the May and June of spring quarter. My favorite hobby is backpacking. So I go out and I backpack for the weekend a lot. So if on the weekend, sometimes it might be more than 24 hours for me to get back to you because I might be off grid. And good luck finding me in the middle of the forest. But that's something I enjoy doing. During the week, I'm on a lot. But weekends, sometimes I'm on a lot, and sometimes you might have to wait a day or two. So just a note about weekends. And sorry about that, but we all have a life. But otherwise, I'm around a lot. This is the Canvas webpage. Hopefully you've gone into the Canvas site already. One thing I recommend doing is bookmark. When you go to the Canvas webpage, bookmark it so that if some reason our LTCC account goes down, you can still get onto Canvas. So that's a good idea. Go onto your browser and bookmark it. You're here live. Those of you who are live, you know how to get into the Zoom webinars. And by the way, everything I do on Zoom is on the same link. Okay, so that will always work. You just click on that and get in. If you're on live right now, then you know how to do it because you're here. If not, then I welcome you to, try it. And you can log into my office hours, do the webinars, and they're all going to be on the Zoom link. But I also have a link to it, and then it'll give you information. And I'll be sending you that information a lot.
Like gangsta.
Okay.
Or grandma.
Just a note, I'm going to mute you if you're making a lot of noise and you're not asking a question, by the way. So just a note. But unmute yourself if you do have a question, please. So what I do is I have a YouTube channel at which I make a playlist. And on that playlist, we'll have all of the webinars that happen for this class. And right now, any guess on why there's no link to this? So you can put in the chat box why you think there might be no link to it right now. There's a reason. It'll make total sense if you don't know once I tell you. And if you do know, it'll make total sense.
Is it because we haven't done anything?
Exactly. This is the first webinar. There's nothing to link to yet. So what's going to happen is when we're done with this, and I will let you know, typical webinars are around an hour and a half. This one might be a little shorter because we're not doing any statistics. It's just talking about the class. Sometimes they go to like an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and 45, but pretty much no more than that. So once this webinar is over, then it gets recorded, and then it takes Zoom to record it. Sometimes it takes half an hour or something. And unless I'm too tired or too hungry, I'll stay at my computer, and then I pop it onto YouTube, and then I post it. Okay, so usually it's pretty soon after the webinar. Sometimes I'm too tired and it's the next day. Sorry about that. So or too hungry because I haven't had dinner or something. But usually it'll be not long after the webinar happens, and then you'll be able to watch it anytime you want. So, but right now there's no link, and there will be a link to the playlist on YouTube once it happens. I also have full-length YouTube lectures, and if I click on that one, you'll notice that there are 13 of these. Any guess on why there's 13? weeks? No, we only have 12 weeks of the class. It was a good try, though. Should I tell you? 13 chapters. There are 13 chapters in the textbook, so I made a webinar. I made a video for each chapter. Now, these are a little different than the webinars. One thing is that these are not recorded live, so they're clean. There shouldn't be any mistakes on them, and I get rid of any ums and stuff like that, or I do my best on that. So they're a lot cleaner, but they're also they're older. So they're not going to be anything about Trump versus Biden's election now. Could be Trump versus Biden 4 years ago because they're older, but they're not going to be quite as current. The statistics will be current though, but they may not be interesting in terms of current event type stuff. Just let you know that. But they're helpful for learning the chapters. And again, I put them on YouTube, and that way they're there forever, easy to find. Also, this one's lecture from Eve classes. This is from a few years back. What happened 4 years ago? COVID, yeah. And when COVID happened, my online class, my face-to-face class had to go online, and those became very long lectures because those were the 2-hour courses. So those would be like 2-hour videos of just kind of sessions. So I decided, hey, just in case you don't have to look at them, but in case you want to, you can watch longer ways of seeing that. I also have short introductory videos each week. Those will be better when we get into the modules. You just kind of watch it at the very beginning of the week. And those are like 4 minutes or something. They're little intro videos. And I made those a long time ago, but things don't change much. Okay. I also have videos of worked out problems. Those are going to be especially important when you're doing the homework. So when you do the homework, okay, the chapter assignments, I should say. I shouldn't say homework. There's an online class, and for you, everything is homework because if you're doing it at home. So chapter assignments, when you do the chapter assignments, there will be links to a question that's similar to a question you're working on or the chapter you're working on. And you can look at that to help you on what you're working on. Does that make sense? Okay, and each one of these I made a little YouTube playlist for. Okay, I also have some interactive statistics. That's really too early to even talk about. That's more for studying and stuff, but not there yet. Any questions about all of these videos? It's a lot of videos. And as I said, I've been teaching forever. So I have a lot of stuff for the online. Okay, that's used by millions of people, actually. Okay, no questions? Again, one of the whole big things about the webinar and orientation, also the regular webinars, is please ask questions when you have them. I have one eye on what you're looking at, and I have one eye on the chat box. Okay, so if you have a question in the chat box, I'll see it and I'll answer. But please ask questions, whenever you have them. And I'm here to help out. Okay. All right, so then there's the textbook. Okay, so what I have done, and so far I've never had a student complain about this, is that a while back, I used to require the textbook for the class. And that textbook was about $300. Okay, and I just hated it. When students said, sorry, I can't afford it. I'm gonna have to drop your class unless, somehow I don't have to use a textbook, but you have to have the textbook. So I couldn't do anything about it. And then what happened is something called the OER movement. That's called Open Educational Resources. What that does is it brings in resources for education that are open and free. So one of the things about this class, there is nothing you have to pay for, other than if you're not a Promise student, you might have to pay for tuition to take the class. I guess I should say that, if you're at home or whatever, you may have to pay for your internet access. I know I got to pay Spectrum every month, but, other than the internet. And of course, you can get free internet at this college if you come over here. But the point is that there is nothing that you have to pay for. And I have pretty much led the movement on that, especially for mathematics, but other things too. I'm the statewide lead for this whole Open Educational Resources free textbook initiative. And I'm in charge for all of California. I am the international chair for mathematics and statistics for all of the world. So if you don't like it, sorry, but it's my thing. But people usually don't complain when I say, sorry, but this is a free class and not a $300 class. Okay, maybe you'll complain, but I doubt it. Okay, so this is completely free. And not only is it free, but the textbook that I was able to use was open. Open meaning I was able to do whatever I wanted with it. So here is a textbook that we're looking at now. And if we go over, I don't know, if we go to chapter 1, and I don't know, if we go to one of these sections, let's see. Actually, chapter 1's kind of boring, so in terms of showing you the cool stuff. Let me get to chapter 2. By the way, this week you're gonna have to do chapter 1 and 2 because they're the easier chapters. And if I go to, let's say I go to 2.8, just pick a section. This is that section. And if you scroll down, you can read. And then you can read some more. And then I put in a interactive calculator so that you can use this to do calculations. Okay, and then I put in a game where you have to come up with the answer based on this, and you can try it. You can try, hey, sigma 2, no, it was close, but sigma was 1. Let's try again. And then you can try again. Okay, and then I put in, so again, more reading. This is an interactive exercise. So this is basically right from the homework kind of stuff that is right into the book, where you can put it in and try to let you know. You can try something similar and it'll let you know that too. Again, today I'm not going to go over the statistics, but I want to show you the kind of stuff that's in the book. And then right in the middle of the book, I put one of my YouTube videos. This is one of the YouTube videos on how to do a question. Okay. Yeah, so there was a question in the chat about the webinars. And the question was, is it at 1 o'clock? Is it at 6 o'clock? What I have done is I pretty much rotate the webinars between Monday and Tuesday. I like to have it early in the week so you can have lots of time throughout the week to watch it if you can't watch it live. But I don't want to have it at the same time all the time, because let's suppose that you're in Tahoe and you work in a restaurant, then Monday at 6 may never work for you. So if I always have it Monday at 6, then you can't ever make a webinar. So what I've done is I rotate it between Monday at 6 p.m. and Tuesday at 1 p.m. And what I found is that most people have one of those 2 times available, and a lot of people have both of them available. There might be a few that have neither ever, but most people have one of those because they're very different time brackets. Okay, so again, if you can't make one of the webinars, then you're going to be watching it recorded on YouTube, and at least you can watch it recorded, and you're required to, by the way. So if you can't watch it live, you must watch it recorded. Okay, but I always hope as many of you can watch it live as possible. It takes just as long to watch it live as it does recorded, so you might as well watch it live, right? Because that way I can immediately answer your question like I just did. Hopefully that makes sense. And it's not exactly every other week. I think it might be, I don't remember, but remember that there's Memorial Day Monday. What I'm not allowed to do is have a webinar on a holiday. So sometimes I can't do, I miss it. I have to do 2 in a row because of the holiday or something like that. But otherwise it's every other week. So I'm trying to remember whether I made it every other or not in terms of Monday, then Tuesday, then Monday, then Tuesday, then Monday. So something like that. The first week, I'd always do the Monday evening for the orientation, Tuesday at 1 for the statistics week 1 webinar, because we need 2 webinars the first week because the orientation is very different, if that makes sense. So anyhow, this is the book. And again, here's another thing where you can use the calculator and more. And I've done that so that it's not just reading a book. It's interactive, it's multimedia because you're watching videos through it. So it's a lot better for learning than just reading. So hopefully you do take a look at the book. And if you find any mistakes, let me know. I actually remember I'm the national chair for some of this stuff. So I actually have editing privileges for this entire platform. It's called LibreText. And by the way, the sweatshirt I've got is the LibreText sweatshirt. So I actually have a sweatshirt for this platform that's being used, which is a big national platform. It's the #1 online educational platform. So just note that's what's the textbook. I wanted to show it to you and wanted to make sure you're all aware on how that works. Okay, the description of the course, we're going to be looking at probability, distribution, sampling, hypothesis testing. You're not going to understand half of what this says right now, but you better by week 12. So I'm not going to go through student learning outcomes. I'll let you read through that because, again, it's a little early to fully understand that stuff. That'll happen later. Grading policy, I hope you do understand, and it's very important. So I graded a 90, 80, 70, 60 scale, and that's pretty strict. I try to make it clear, 90, 80, 70, 60. And here is how the grading works. 10% of the grade are your chapter assignments. Those you should all do really well on because I'll show you in a little bit, but if you get a problem wrong, you can do a similar problem and try again and again and again and keep going until the due date, which will be Sunday, by the way, at 11:59 p.m. And don't wait till Sunday at 11 or you won't have time. So if you're doing it on Wednesday and try it, and then you can try some more on Thursday of the things you can figure out and get some help with a tutor, etc., etc. So that's the assignments. Then there's a discussion post. I want you to put in the chat box, do me a favor, either yes or no. Yes, I have taken an online class before, or no, this is my first online class. Okay, so I'm looking at yeses for just about everybody. So far, everyone. Okay, so this is not anyone's first online class. What I have learned, by the way, one of the things that I have done is I have also worked for the state of California as an evaluator for online classes when they used to do it statewide. So I have looked at like dozens and dozens of different online classes, not just math, from all kinds of subjects, and discussion forum posts, and those are like always part of it. Everybody does online class. Everyone does a discussion. So I'm sure if you took an online class, you had to do a discussion post, and that's what you're gonna have to do. And I'll talk about the details of that in a little bit. All right, I decided a while back to get rid of midterms and final. Sorry if you don't like that, but we all have our way. Most people think it's good. Some don't. Instead, what I do is I give an exam every other week. If it's an even week, you have an exam to do by the end of that week. If it's an odd week, you do not have an exam to do by the end of that week. By the way, is this an even week or an odd week? The math is not that hard. Yeah, there's an odd week. This is week 1. 1 is an odd number. So there's no exam this week. Next week is week 2, and there'll be an exam to do. Does that make sense? Each exam is worth 10%. So even the last exam, which I call the final exam, but it's still worth the same as the first exam. They're all worth the same. Yep, there are 6 exams. So that's why 6 times 10 is 60. 60% of the course are these every other week exams. Any questions on that idea? The exams themselves will cover everything, but will focus more on the newest stuff. So around 50% will be on the newest 2 weeks, and then the rest will be on the old stuff, except the first exam because there is only 2 weeks. That makes sense? So on the week 10 exam, week 9 and 10 will be 50% of it, and week 1 through 8 will be the other 50%. And that's how the exams work. The way I do the exams, create them, is I take the homework assignments and questions randomly get assigned from these homework assignments and they get put into the exam, and everyone gets a different exam. I want to let you know that. So by the way, if you hear what the answer was to someone else's question 3 on their exam, that'll tell you nothing about your exam because you get a different random assignment. Does that make sense? And it's completely computer randomized. Don't get mad at me if you have a hard question, but that's how it works. It's all random. The last question or 2 or 3, usually question or 2, will be one that is not coming from the homework, but it'll look more like the discussion assignments and the webinar assignments where you have to actually write like several sentences. And those are graded by me and not the computer. I look at those and basically, if you haven't watched the webinar, you're not going to do well because I'll tell you during the webinar, you have to have this wording. So you need to really pay attention to the webinars, take lots of notes so that you get down that idea. And same thing with the discussion board posts, because often they come from similar stuff to that. And I will always give you kind of wording of what I'm looking for. And you must use that wording. Okay, if you don't use that wording, I zap you. One of the reasons for that is that way AI cannot do it. AI, maybe in 10 years will happen, but not right now. AI does not do anything that's new. So AI cannot watch my webinar and know. So don't even think about using AI for these. Okay, just let you know that. Then there are 2 projects. There's project 1 and project 2. I will let you know the projects are group projects. I recommend 3 people in a group. You're allowed to have 2, 3 is better. I'll talk about those a little bit more later today, and then a lot more some weeks before they're due. And they're 10% each. So you'll notice everything is 10%. Just makes it easy to remember. Any questions on the grading policy? I will also let you know that I don't do extra credit. So don't expect extra credit. You could ask for it and I'll say no, but I'll let you know that there is no extra credit in this class. The idea is work hard and learn the material before the exam is due, or before, and make sure you work hard on the project for the weeks that you got to do it and do well on those. That's where your work should come in. Don't even ask for extra credit because I'll say no. So that's not going to happen. So there is no extra credit. This is the grading policy. Okay. I kind of already talked about the exam. One thing, you're going to have 90 minutes. You're going to have 90 minutes for each exam. Okay, that's a set time. And it is important that you get that done. Let's see. How are you going to be grouped for exams? Oh, the exams aren't group exams. The exams are individual. You work by yourself. The projects. I'll talk about that in a bit. Good question, but it's a little too early. That'll happen in about 5 or 10 minutes. So I'll definitely get into the groups. Okay. That's a big thing we're doing today, actually. So I promise. Okay. Okay, the assignment policies. So assignments are going to be done on Canvas. Okay. By the way, everything in this class is done on Canvas. So that's just how it is. All right. But I do recommend that you take notes on your written responses. It just makes it just better for learning. Okay. Gets you better. Okay. And I shouldn't say midterm, I should say projects and exams instead of midterm and final. Okay. Your assignments are all due at 11:55 p.m. on Sunday. That does not mean you should do all of your work on Sunday. That's just your last chance. Okay. If you do the work during the week and realize that you're not going to be able to finish by Sunday, and it's a chapter assignment or possibly an exam. And if you ask for a time extension by Friday before the Sunday it's due, then I'd almost always say yes. If you ask for a time extension after Friday, I always say no. So this is where you don't want to wait till the last minute to get your work done, because you will not get extensions. Even if your internet dies on Sunday, you know what? You shouldn't have been doing it on Sunday. You should have tried to finish by Friday. Does that make sense? Okay. The only thing I don't give extensions for are the discussion post assignments, because those are discussions with your classmates, and it doesn't make sense to give extension on that, because they're looking at it as and communicating and having conversations. So that's the only one I don't give any time limit extensions. Time extensions, but I do for the other stuff if they're asked by Friday. Okay, that's the deal. Okay, so that's just a strong note. Okay. So for the discussions actually are the main thing that's not due on Sunday. Your initial post is due on Thursday, because the problem is if you post it on, let's say, Sunday at 11 p.m., then your classmates can't answer it because they're going to sleep. So you have to post by Thursday or I take off lots of points. So post by Thursday, and then your answer to, or your reply to your classmates' post, that one has to be done by Sunday. Any questions on that? Okay, there will be full explanations on what the discussion assignments look like. And one thing I always do is that I post a sample post, usually a couple days before the week starts. And I post a sample post of what a discussion post should look like and what an answer should look like. That doesn't mean you should copy and paste my answer, because you're going to answer in whatever context it is that your classmate is doing. Okay, but at least you get an idea of expectations. Any questions on that idea? And I'll show you what those look like in a bit, but I want to go through the syllabus first. Okay, live webinars we've talked about a lot, but I do want to mention something, that there is a secret word quiz. And it's not the very end, but sometimes towards the end of every live webinar, at which I say the secret word. I usually write it down so you can see it. All you have to do is write it down, do the secret word by Sunday, and then you get your credit for the secret word quiz. If you miss it by Sunday, you could do it late, but then you have to take detailed notes, and you have to email me your detailed notes. They have to be at least 5 pages of notes. So do it by Sunday. Okay, it's still good to take notes, by the way, even during the webinar, even if it's not late. But if it is late, you have to take the notes. And then if you don't do that at the end of the course, I'm going to take off 5% from your course grade for each webinar that you did not watch. Okay, and either do the secret word quiz or do the 5 pages of notes. Any questions on that? Any questions? Okay, now it's time to talk about the projects. Okay, because there were some questions about the projects, which I'm really glad you asked questions, by the way. Secret word is, I wouldn't call it random. Remember, there's a statistics class, so it's not truly random. But it's usually a little towards the end instead of the beginning, but not the very, very, very end always. But if you watch and pay attention to the whole webinar, there'll be no question of what the secret word is. Okay? That's the one thing, is I make it very clear what that secret word is if you pay attention. Okay, there's no like secrets during the webinar. Okay. But if all you do is you scroll to the very bottom on YouTube and you may not see the secret word in the last 10 seconds of the webinar. That's just a note, because it might be in, minute 72 or minute 38 or minute 57. Who knows? All right, now the projects. Okay, so again, there's 2 projects I showed you. What I'm not going to talk about in this webinar is the statistics that you have to do for the project, because we're not ready for that. You haven't learned the stats yet. So that's going to be another week or so. And then I'll talk about it. So in this webinar, what I can do is tell you about partners and some of the rules. Okay, so the first thing is you're going to do stuff for the project. You're not going to read all the details because that's next week I'll talk about it. But the main thing is the following. Students are to work in pairs or trios. Okay, so you work with one other partner or three total. I strongly recommend 3 people in your group total for a very good reason. 2 reasons, actually. One is if one of your partners drops out, then you still have a partner and you're not screwed over. And the other is if you're working with just 2, what percentage of the project do you have to write? Hopefully you can do the math here. If there's only 2 of you in the project, what percent do you have to write? Put in the chat box. Not a trick question. So if there's 2 of you working on the project, yeah, 50%. If there's 3 of you working on the project, what percent do you have to write? Yep, 33 1/3%. So what's easier? 33 1/3%. So it's a lot easier to have 3 of you. You can't have 4, by the way, because if there's 4 of you, you can split into 2 groups of 2, and then maybe ask for 1 more and hope find a third. Okay, so again, 2 or 3. If you turn in the project and it's just you and you didn't have a partner, I will take 25% off the final grade of that project, which means it's almost impossible to pass. So partners are really strongly required. Okay. Here's the other thing. I want you to do well on the project. So there's going to be a time scale at which you're going to post your idea. I'm going to let you know if it's going to work or not. You're going to work together, do your project, get it done early enough so that you can email me a draft of your project by Thursday, 8 a.m. before it's due, but even better would be Tuesday or Wednesday, because I'm going to be reading it on a first come, first read basis. Okay. So question, if you start your project and your partner drops a class, yes, you still lose. That's why having 3 is really important. Okay. Then you're going to be desperately seeking a pair to join on. So yes, you do need to make sure you have partners. So I will let you know I want to let you know there's 60 students in this class. So if all of you sent me your project to read, projects are usually, I'd say 8 to 20 pages long. Okay, so if it averaged, let's say 14 pages, and there's 60 of you in the class, and let's say, most of you got groups of 3, some got groups of 2. So that means there might be like 25 different projects sent to me. That's hundreds of pages of reading for me to do, which means that if you all sent it to me at 8 a.m., the one who sent it very last, it might be Sunday before I can get back to you, because I'm going to have to read hundreds of pages and give you suggestions. So again, if you do it earlier, then you're going to get earlier feedback. Just let you know. I'll talk about the groups in a second. That's the very last thing I want to talk about. I promise. And how to find groups. Okay. So I only read one rough draft because otherwise, you know, it instead of hundreds of pages, it would be thousands of pages and I couldn't do it because it wouldn't be time for me to read all the pages. So I read one rough draft and then I send feedback and then you hopefully handle the feedback and kind of fix all the things I tell you to fix. And then I recommend on Saturday, because never want to wait till the last minute, you submit it in Canvas, your final project. And one thing you have to have is your names on the project so I know who to give credit to. So whoever submits it, one of you submits it, make sure you put everyone's name, you know, all three of your names on it so that I can give you all credit. Okay. So I'm usually pretty good about giving feedback and grading. So within a week, then I'll get it done, usually within a few days, but with 2 sections of 30, it might take a whole week because it's a lot of reading for me to do. Okay, just to let you know that. And I'll tell you how it is. Now, the partners, let me show you how to find partners. What you do is you go to the discussions. Okay. And by the way, let me ask you, have you seen Canvas before? Have you worked with Canvas? This is Canvas, what we're looking at now, the learning management system. Okay, if you think it's really hard and you don't like it and you wish we had a different one, I'm to blame. I'm one of them to blame. We had a statewide committee for the California Community College system of 115 colleges. I was on that committee, and as our committee, we thought Canvas was the best of all learning management systems. So all of California uses Canvas, and I was on the committee to make that happen. So if you hate it, sorry. If you like it, then you can thank me, I guess. But but it is, and we chose it because it's really easy to use. So hopefully you agree. So this is Canvas. And if you go to the project discussion forum right here, right now there's nothing there. What you should do, I recommend doing it today or tomorrow, is you hit reply, and then you type in something like, I am looking for 2 partners for the project. I want to get it done early. So hopefully I can find people who can work on with my schedule or work with me. And then you hit post reply. I'm not going to hit post reply because I'm not looking for project partners because I'm your teacher. So you can't use me as your partner, by the way. And then you hit post reply. And then once you see the reply, then you can reply to someone else's post and say, hey, let's work together. Here's my information. You know, you can message me in Canvas, or if you want to give your information, you can give me your information, whatever. Any questions on the idea? That's how you find partners. Any questions on that? And that's the best way to do it. And so this Project One discussion forum, my guess is the first bunch of posts will be that kind of post. The next bunch of posts will be talking about what your project idea is so that I can look at it, tell you if it'll work. And then all the rest of them will be questions about the project. And that's kind of how this discussion forum will work. Any questions on this idea? Okay, great. Let me go back. Right now, if I hit the home button, it sends you the syllabus. I do that for the first week. The second week, I move to the modules for the rest of the class. But I think the syllabus is really important that first week. So I make sure it gets sent there. All right, so I also made a Q&A forum. And notice if you go to discussions, by the way, you'll see Q&A forum. Right now, there's nothing in it. But if you have any questions that are not private, okay, that other people could benefit from, and it's, not something that you shouldn't be telling the class kind of stuff, then use a Q&A forum. If it's not about the project, if it's about the project, use the Project One discussion board. If it's about like the homework question on problem number 2, you can copy and paste problem number 2, and then I'll help you with it. And that way other people can benefit from the conversation and learn the statistics. Any questions on that? Or if it's a how-to, that's another one, Q&A forum. Okay, you send me an email, one for your project draft. Others is, let's say you hate your project partner, but you don't want to tell the world that you hate this person, and you can tell me that's the kind of thing you would do private stuff. But if it's really about how to do statistics, then, or what this class requires kind of stuff, that's Q&A form. Any questions on that? Okay, and then sometimes you'll email, if you email me about, a question about the, an assignment problem, I'll email you back saying, post it on the Q&A forum and I'll answer it. So that's what I usually do. Any questions so far? Okay, so just a few notes, diversity inclusion, just make sure, treat everybody as a professional adult, no matter what their background is, whatever their gender is, whatever their race is. Make sure that you treat everybody with honor and respect. That's all I ask for. That's really important. And I'll let you read through the whole thing. Also, in case you want to give me anonymous feedback, then there is an anonymous feedback link. But honestly, if you send me a, feedback just by email or post on the Q&A forum or whatever, then that's fine. I would never take off points from anything because of you giving me feedback on, you need to make this better or something. That's great. But I do have it just in case. I also have Netiquette guidelines. I'll let you read through that. I have office hours 4 days a week that are official office hours. And you'll notice I am in my office A218, but this is an online class, so I also have my office hours on Zoom. And it is the same Zoom link that we're using for this webinar. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12 to 1. Thursday, 3 to 4. Monday, 2:40 to 3:40. I do want to let you know that I teach at 1 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I might be gone at 12:55 or 12:53 so that I can run to the classroom. But otherwise, I'm going to be there. Also, something that I care about a lot, and hopefully you do too, and that is making sure that the children in our community are helped and find security in whatever they need. So one of the things that I do, since I believe in, if you have a talent, use that to help other people out. So I have created a math club at which we do tutoring for the children in our community in math. And so sometimes, and that goes from 3 to 5, by the way, Tuesday, probably maybe Monday through Thursday. So if I'm not looking at my screen, I might be running and checking in on our tutors that are helping the kids to make sure everything's okay, and then I'll run back. So if I'm gone from my office hours for a few minutes, please be patient, okay? Hopefully that makes sense, okay? And I've never had anyone say, well, you shouldn't be helping children. Because, come on. So just a note. And again, it's the same Zoom. You can ask me any questions, whatever you need. Okay. Again, I don't believe in making you pay for anything. So that includes a calculator. You don't have to buy a calculator for this class. Isn't that nice? And in fact, what I did, one of the things that you're going to learn about me is that I am a computer programmer. Anyone else know how to code computers? Any programmers in this class? Okay, if not, I won't get into the details. Often I don't have anyone. Read but not write. Okay, that's fine. Then you can read my code. So I have coded up a full calculator for this class to do everything we need to do. Not only that, I programmed 2 different calculators, one for the chapter assignments and one for the project. And I have links to both of them. So this one, in a moment, always takes a bit to load. This is the calculator that we use for the chapter assignments. And I'll show you how to do some of these. What I did is I coded it up in order at which we do things in this class. So random number generator, which is a very simple one, that's like the first thing that happens in week 1. Whereas ANOVA, that's going to be the very last thing we do in this class. And then it goes in order. And I tried to write down kind of a description instead of like, just letters of what the calculator's for. So that'll help you understand what the calculator is for. And for example, one variable stats calculator is probably a little bit more important. If I put in some stats, so maybe I'll do some stats just for fun, even though I said I wasn't going to do it. But let's do some stats. And let me ask you, and just guess if you don't know for sure, how many miles do you live from Lake Tahoe Community College? Okay, and just guess your best guess if you don't know exactly. Put it in the chat box. Aha, someone from maybe Southern California. Oh, shoot, I thought I was typing. Sorry. Thought I was typing these numbers in. Oh, well, let me try again. Problem is I wasn't looking at the screen, I was looking at the numbers. So let's try again. 2, comma. Oh, I know why, because I scroll. Once you scroll, it's gone. 7, 70, 87. 130, 150. 258, 458, 500. $135, 104, 104. I'm guessing you might be roommates. 200, 112. I responded twice. 200. And 112. Okay. You have to decide, is this a population, is this a sample? In this case, it actually could be either. It's a population if we're thinking about the people who are here. It's a sample. I'm going to call it the sample because that would be all the people in, all the classes. And then hit calculate. I tried to make it really easy. Just type them in and hit calculate, basically. And then it shows you the mean, which is the average. The minimum was 2. First quartile. Again, I don't expect you to know what all these words mean. Some you probably do. Sample size was 14. That one you probably know. And I made a calculator. Any questions on that? So that's the calculator you can use for the regular assignments. For the project, you're going to use this calculator here. The first thing you're going to have to do after clicking that, actually, this is Google Sheets. So the first thing you have to do is go to File, make a copy, give it a name, and then make a copy. I don't want to make a copy because I don't need to because it's mine. And then you have it. And then you can work in your team, and when you type something in, your partner can type something in because it's a Google Sheets thing. It's a shared resource. Okay, and this is for the project. This is required for the project. I'll show you more later. Okay, if you have a learning disability, we have a Student Accessibility Service Center. You can email them, you can call them, you can click on their link, And whatever needs you have, we'll make sure those needs are met. Just note, all of my videos that I've made that are, you know, the kind of old ones, those are all closed captioned. So those are all set to make sure they're accessible. So I do everything I can to make sure everything's accessible. But for some reason, if you need extra time because of a learning disability, then they will set it up. They'll let me know how much and I'll make it happen. Okay, but it has to go through them. Just let you know that. Tutoring. Okay, so we have tutoring. And there is tutoring. You do not have to go face-to-face. You can get tutoring help, and that is through our library, but we have an online system. And Kyle, I want you to introduce yourself. And Kyle is our embedded tutor. Are you there, Kyle? Haven't checked recently. I know you're there at the beginning. Did you log out? Not. It's Kyle Stoker, by the way. Oh, he left. Oh, well. Okay, well, he was here. And he was my student a year ago or so, a little more than a year ago. And he knows this class better than any of the tutors because he was my student. He's been working with the online students with this class for quarter after quarter after quarter. He can help you. Okay, so he is a great tutor to get help from. The other tutors can help too, but Kyle is the strongly recommended one. If you go to the Cranium Cafe, you can set up an appointment with him and you can get help. There is also NetTutor, which I think is in here somewhere. Somewhere in here, there's NetTutor, and that's a 24/7, but they don't know this particular class well. So you're much better off going to one of our tutors that are through our library than NetTutor. NetTutor can work, but not perfect. Any questions on that? Oh yeah, here's the NetTutor link. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, just a note, a word on honesty, don't cheat. Make sure that you're doing your own work. Okay, that's important. Okay. If you cheat, and I can prove it, then you're going to get a 0 on whatever you cheated on. If I can tell you, by the way, this is something a little weird, but I told you that I'm a major computer programmer. Over 20 years ago, I actually programmed AI. Okay. I know AI better than most people because I actually know the back end of artificial intelligence. I can tell if using AI. And if you're using AI, I'm going to be very harsh on grading. So do not use AI for doing your work. Got it? I did have a group clearly use AI for their project. Boy, was I mean to them. So just let you know that if you use artificial intelligence, it is not going to go well for you. Okay, not for doing your assignments. So make sure you don't have AI do it because I can tell. It's very obvious to me because I'm a coder and I know how the coding works. I can't explain it to you because it's really deep, but I will tell you it's a lot of math. Don't even think about using AI. You can use AI for learning, but not for doing work. Got it? Because that's like the new big thing, and I definitely noticed it a lot. One of the things I make sure of, I say you have to have this wording. When I give webinars, AI will not know about that, and you'll get zapped. So if you use stuff that didn't come from our webinar or our discussion kind of post way of doing it, then I'm going to hurt you on it. So make sure you do it the way we do it in the webinars and the discussion assignments. Got it? Okay. That's just a note. You can also see all the assignments here. I want to show you what the modules look like, because that's how, after this week, that's how your first page is going to be. First thing, let me make some of these smaller. You could go to course information. This pretty much has the same links that I gave you on your on the syllabus, so I don't need to show you much more about it. But then you can go to the week you're in. And the way I've set up the modules is the very first thing you do. Remember I told you there's a little video? By the way, give me a yes if you have been to Lake Tahoe Community College, walked inside of it, and give me a no if you haven't. Wow. So far, all no's. I don't usually get all no's. All right, then none of you will have any idea how old this video is, because you won't know by looking at it that this furniture is older than what we've got now. I won't tell you when I did it. I did it a while back. So anyway, you know, these videos were made a little while ago, but staff hasn't changed much. Okay, so that's just a video on just introducing the week. Then there's webinar videos. I will let you know right now, this is an orientation webinar. It says you can watch the recorded webinar here, but there's no link for watching it because we haven't had it. We're not done yet. Then it says join from a PC. So that's how you can click. It does have international and other things. And just note that late tonight, or maybe tomorrow, but probably tonight, I think I'll be able to get it done. Right here will also be a link to the recorded video. Okay, those watching this live, doesn't matter because you're here. But you can always grab it here also, so that'll be there. So let's go back to the modules and let me just show you stuff. So that was orientation. This is a link to tomorrow's webinar. So notice I always have the times and the dates. Then there's content. This is the student learning outcomes. I have links to the chapters, okay, that we're doing. We're doing chapter 1 and chapter 2 for this particular week. I have links to the full-length chapter videos that we're doing this week. I have links to those short videos. And so these are links to the ones that we're doing this week, whereas the syllabus just has a full list of all of the whole course. So if you want to like know this week's stuff, this is week's. Just note that these chapter videos are voiceover PowerPoints. So I also have a link for PowerPoints, just in case you want that. Then there's the assignments. So for example, the orientation secret word quiz. It won't look like this because maybe I'll make myself look like a student. Just do that. Let me go back, sorry, to make it look like what it's supposed to look like. Student view, there we go. All right, so now it looks like a student. So now you'll see what it really looks like. It's not that much different, but there'll be a few little different things. So now if I go to the assignment, orientation secret word quiz, then let's take the quiz. It's loading. Come on. Sorry. I hate the wheel of death, don't you? The spinning wheel of death. Finally. All right. The secret word for the orientation webinar was, and we have to type in the secret word. And here is the secret word. It is applicable. I try to make the secret word sound like something that we're, for the week, but not something you would guess. So the secret word is applicable because statistics is very applicable to the real world. So here's what I want you to know. And I want you to do right now while you're watching this. Paper and pencil, write down this word, applicable, applicable. Okay, by the way, was my promise right that when I go over the secret word, it's obvious? I hope so. There's your secret word. Then I hit submit. And I'm going to submit. And I got it right. Okay. Any question on how the secret word quiz looks? I hope you all wrote down that word, because that was the secret word. Notice we're not at the very end of the webinar yet. It's not always the very end, but it's pretty far into it. So hopefully you all wrote it so you can make sure you do this. You can do it right now if you have a second screen or something, but I would do it right away. Okay. I think I could leave student view. And I hate that. There we go. Leaving secret word student view, you'll never have to do that, but it's a pain sometimes. Okay, so that's the secret word for the orientation. There will be a secret word for tomorrow's webinar. And don't think you know what it is yet, because I haven't given it to you. I won't give it until tomorrow. Okay, and I'll let you click on that too. Oh, sorry, that's here, secret word quiz for week 1, secret word quiz. Okay, but orientation is what we're doing now. Okay, there's also the discussion board posts. Here's what they look like. Wait a minute. Oh, shoot, just a minute. I can get in trouble if I do this. So that one. Let's go back to modules. So there is the discussion assignments. And here's the assignment for this one. So this week I have 2. One is just fun, but you get points for it. So please get 10 out of 10. This one you need to do, everything you have to do by Thursday for your initial, and then your reply needs to be done by Sunday. So here's what it is. Please introduce yourself by stating 2 truthful facts about yourself and one thing that's not truthful. You're going to see if other students can guess what are truthful and what are not truthful. Then respond to at least one other student's lists to see if you can figure out which are truthful and which are not truthful. For this assignment, and there aren't a lot of these, but for this assignment, I recommend responding to like everybody's or a lot of them just for fun. But that won't be true for other discussion posts. But for this one, have fun and do it with everybody. You can, and do it with mine too, by the way, so you can guess mine. So I actually put mine down. So here are my 3 truths. See if you can guess which is not truthful. Number 1, I personally disconnected the communication system for the space shuttle while it was in orbit, causing it to stay in orbit an extra day. Number 2, once I stepped out my front door in Tahoe and took a walk to Yosemite. And number 3 is my YouTube channel has had almost 1 million views. Okay, you can reply to that and then guess which is not truthful. Okay, make sure you reply to your classmates' post also, not just mine. Okay, and if you see someone who hasn't been replied to, please reply to that. Got it? That way they've had someone guess, because after somebody responded to yours, I want you to comment on whether that student was correct, and then write about how you plan on using statistics in your future coursework or career. Any questions on that? So it's just a fun one. There's nothing to do statistics-wise. But I like to do one where you just meet each other. Any questions on that? Okay, then there's the next one. The next one, this one, you post something by Thursday and only reply to one other student, and don't reply to mine. Don't reply to your own, by the way. Should never reply to, as the first replier to your own. Okay, but don't reply to your own. So I will always post an example. So here's the one I posted. Again, we haven't learned this stuff yet, so I'm not going to, read through all this stuff, but this actually is statistics, where you post something, in this case is a link to a news article where they did some statistics, and then you have to find someone else's post where they posted a link, and then you have to do a full analysis from what we talked about on that week. Any questions on that idea? Okay, and I will grade it. And I want to make sure that you have understood the statistics, make sure you did an initial post on time, make sure that you replied to a classmate, and then I'll make it work. Any questions on what these look like? Okay, so then now comes the chapter assignments. This is what the chapter 1 assignment looks like. So you're going to have to, in this case, identify the type of data that would be used to describe a response, the student's GPA. Okay, so let's suppose you thought it was quantitative discrete, and I submit the question. Oh, I got it wrong. Dang. Red's bad, by the way. X's are bad. 0 of 1 point, that's bad. But here's the thing. You can get a similar question. Now it's going to be similar, it won't be the same, but it's going to be the same idea. So identify the type of data that would be used to describe the response. Time in line to buy groceries. Quantitative discrete, qualitative categorical, quantitative continuous. So let's say you said quantitative continuous. I submit the question, and I got it right. Okay. If you don't even quite understand why, you can still try again. But once you get 1 point, you have that 1 point forever, and you will never lose it again. Isn't that nice? So make sure you learn from your homework. Any questions at all on what these look like? I can go to next question. And there's another one. Okay, and there's a lot. They're not all multiple choice. Chapter 1 might be. There's some that aren't. Here's one that isn't. Where you actually type in, you have to put in numbers. Okay. Any questions on what these assignments look like? And I want to mention the exams, the first, 80% of it or so is exactly going to look in this format. There won't be help videos. That's the only thing I don't do. It's also timed where this is not timed. You have until Sunday. That's the time, I guess. Sunday night. But, and then the last type, you're going to type in a whole lot of stuff. Any questions on how these work? Okay, so if you look through, that's pretty much everything for week 1. Any questions at all on what the course looks like? Okay, what I think I'm going to do is I am going to stop the recording. So those who are watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching. Don't forget, hopefully you paid attention to the secret word so you know what it is, and you can make the secret word quiz. Otherwise, you're going to have to watch this again and find it again. So I'm going to stop the recording.